So those people that like there's these contradictions, they share the same unique ones, right? It could be vegan, and at the same time, uh, you think it's okay to facilitate like late stage abortion or something, uh, because of because the octopus can talk better or communicate with humans means that the life of an octopus is worth more than a baby like this that could fit in, like, smaller than the palm of your hand or something, right? And like making these arguments is everything is like trying to win the debate, but the thing is you only have to want to operate inside of the what would be considered participating in human race. So the human race is going to look at it like fucking kill the octopus, save the baby, because that's what we do. Like, we're trying to have babies. The babies don't just willingly pop into existence. You just like have them. So if you're not having them, then what are you doing? Because the messianic energy is just like sexual energy that's very like it's a warrior energy. So it's destructive energy. It's just destroy. And then that's what it, and I don't know if the people think that's Gnostic or whatever. They think that's Adaldebrath, or that's not God. We're not saying that that's God. I'm not saying nature's God. I'm not. So these inconsistencies, but there's another. Like, I was going to go to the next inconsistency because they all will share the same lack of consistency. But I can't remember right now because I got thrown off. They have a selective memory. They like, but then they're smart enough to make coherent thoughts and present it as arguments, but they're not speaking to the same thing. So that's all it requires to make you stupid, because and overlooking that you don't have to solve for something just to remind everybody that it's a crazy, insane world is just like, what the fuck? In light of the fact that it's scary or fear causes chaos, some people are overjoyed and able to play it off as concern. Some people are, just like that. So you don't want to have one of those people talking to you like they're reading a book to children, basically. Especially if I don't got to waste energy to convince somebody who already likes the precedent for limbo and jeopardy, then when there's a surf cast of non-privy society that can be easily manipulated. And I noticed that you're not talking to me, you talk to them. You stop talking to me and just always talk to them. And it's like, so your concern is whether or not the platform become echo chamber or whether or not your message is getting out, because something happens when you believe that a transmission has been received, that a consistent signal that you can give her, yes, I have received the transmission, is that's like salvific, because you're at the end of the day, you only get yourself. If you're one of these people, you're going to scream, nobody's going to hear you, because it wouldn't be in your nature. You would say like your nature is to like look the other way over certain shit. It's cool if you want to operate outside of the human race and you want to be an alligator, but you can't try to make somebody shame because they didn't win a debate when they just selected to operate within the human race and not be an alligator. So, non-aggression principle, like, you already know that has to be based in universalities, and if that doesn't make any sense, the only universal principle is the lack of any universal principle. And yes, that became the principle. So all these scammers and shit are trying to come up with a principle that they pass it off as libertarian, and they're not really libertarian, and there's no there's no premise or basis for, or an epistemology for a universality with regards to a principle that they're trying to get people to believe, and to you have to kind of adopt it. So why is it that there's trying to have to masquerade as libertarian? Do you know that conservatives I shouldn't say do you know, I just recently learned anything about this, but they see National Socialists as being the same, one and the same with Nazis, or they think they get them conflated, they get them mixed up, and so it actually it's like negotiating with terrorists, with terrorism. It's like that's how, and it's not like they're the only ones responsible, because the ideology that is very like overlook, Islam throwing gay people off of buildings, and or how much that like it's like they don't think there's any gay people in some, what I'm saying, but at the same time they have punitive, like partially taken punitive action, that, or they describe it as like appeasement of like Iraqi constables or something, and they get to take a little boy to their room at night. So I don't know, like, I'm saying, like they said, like, how the fuck is that not gay? And then so I mean, I'm saying, like, it's inconsistencies. But okay, they're directly sponsoring Wahhabism. The Democrat, the Democrat, what you call the Democrat today has nothing to do with 10 or 20 years, 30 years ago, maybe 10, no, like 30, 40 years ago. That's different. That's something else. I don't know. It's like they play musical chairs and try to trick you or something, or it's the development of your brain maturing. Then it's like you start off, you have to be a liberal or you have no heart, and then later on, like 30s and 40s, you have to become conservative or you have no brain. And the people with the brain, they're not talking to you. They're not talking to you. They're talking to boomers, and they're talking to the lower class, because they, they're on a whole bunch of stuff about giving back to the community and all these kind of things, which sound like great ideas and everything, but your kids are just going to be like, why are we still in the community? Like, we should not be near the community. We should be on the outskirts of the community, somewhere in between the wilderness and fucking the towns, like with the people. You should have to drive like 15 minutes at least or something. Like, what the fuck? Why are we always, nobody wants to see a drug dealer passing out free turkeys. How is it strange that they could get killed passing out free turkeys? That doesn't seem strange at all. Or saying that they're so willing to die over a nickel, a dime, $10, $1, or a pack of chips. Like, that just says, overlook the fact that the ego and pride got into their hack into them emotionally, then they took them, away from who they're really meant or supposed to be, who they're supposed to, what they're supposed to replicate. Then a lot of it is there's other things going on. So it's not like you're making excuses for the criminals. You're saying you're just going to go to the speaking to the mindset, if you would, and to try to find out if there's any redeemable characteristic before you pass sentence. Like, that's just normal. So we don't know how to do that anymore. Then there must be a fucking alien agenda. Then it can't immersify with the humans. And a low-level archon, not probably even an alien, like just a low-level Demir's host entity that's not real, but exists in the sense that people give energy to it. Then it can become self-aware and is smarter than like a human brain or some shit like that, because the beast knows what's coming down the road before the elect knows. It's like for you to be tested and everything like that. It's a strange thing about that wager, that that's a wager, because I have perfect faith in my peeps, the ones that I consider to be my relative, cousins, like it doesn't, like, water is thicker than blood sometimes, but I'm not going to have a debate with each and every individual whether or not this person's regarded as family or that person's regarded as family. But you just say, fuck it, I don't care. This so-and-so's this family. So you just like, but those people, like, I have perfect faith in them. I would make a wager right now with the devil that they're, you know what I mean? So why would, like, I do it on the naturally, so why wouldn't the creator? How do you know you're not even talking to him? How do you know that you're only talking to him when you get on your knees and put your hands together at the side of your bed, and that you have to do this and that, instead to where, okay, I'm going to talk to, then you have to wonder if he exists and all that shit, but then you were just talking to him. So I'm not going to wonder about certain people if they think that I have to clarify for them, and they want to talk like they're reading a book to some children. If they want to overlook hypotheticals, and they want to overlook that you have maybe a reference point to something that's like a nostalgic, or just you're just speaking to whatever connects people to a wavelength, then so it's like they're just like trying to, what was the other dude was trying to say about, fuck, I'm not gonna do this. You got there's these interviews, but they might disappear, but they're on the Crucible, so you might have to go to Rumble or something to see those. I don't know. It's kind of torturing yourself, because you have to listen to these high, like, freaking voices, this lunatics and ranting and going ham, acting like shit. They basically act like shit, and then deflect. Like, that's so annoying. You can only, like, it's like fucking just for the sake of fucking. Because they were willing to have the debate in order to subvert the ideology of because they think, like, it's like my choice. If I want to live in sin, that's my choice. And then it's like, nah, fuck you, bro. No, fuck you. It's got to be some kind of encroachment. And like, one thing is that it's true that government does recognize non-secular marriage and Christian Orthodox marriage is rooted in Christian Orthodox tradition and borrowed from by the state, and the church doesn't recognize the state secular marriage. They only provide annulments to people that are married inside the church. They don't do divorce, and the state does recognize the church's marriage, but they also on the side have a thing going to where they can also provide no fault divorce. So people who get married outside of the church are living in sin. But here's the thing, it's like my father didn't want to get married. My mother actually begged him to marry her, and it's because he wasn't hermeneutically, like he didn't find a church. He said that. He's like I haven't found a church that I believe in yet. It's like there was one church that he said he would be a Christian to go to. So basically, my mother harassed him to marry him, but she wouldn't have the cherry picking virtues from the church and having the state recognize secular marriage. So if the state stopped issuing them, then it's impossible to have this manner of sin. Like, it's a way of going about sin that is no longer, it's like, it's even a moot point because you can't do it. And it's something about being denied the ability to sin that those Fabian socialists don't like it. They don't like that. I don't appreciate it. I need that piece of paper. It does something for, I'm saying, whatever, when I fart up, but it does something for what I need. Now, why is it that my father and my brother never want to get married? It's because they don't want anything to do with all of it. Like, they don't want anything to do with all of the hermeneutically grounded morals and recognized by Orthodox and Christian marriage, because everybody has different destinies with the Creator, and before that marriage, we're doing the same thing. It's just trying to figure out what's the best way to procreate. Now, you can come up with your best way to procreate, and they can try their best way to procreate. Thing is, if you just come congruent, you're gonna get the label. I'm gonna give it. If you're doing all this and it's just like, but then if you're over here and saying that you're in this and you're not that too, like, God hates that too. So there's people on this side God's annoyed with, and then there's people on this side that God's not annoyed with, because how can you thrust upon them to join a church that's not even the destiny that the Creator has with them? They're still supposed to be expected to try to figure out the best way to procreate. And if they don't have a way that's as best as good as the church's ability to procreate, right? Which is, that's a very generalistic, because there's going to be variability. We don't want to cherry pick theirs, because we're not going to be double-minded about ours. I'll just tell you straight up what we're going to do. It's only a problem if I'm acting like I want to be about these virtues and I want to do this healthy and I want to do this, and I'm not exercising, and I'm still on the side doing stuff that nobody's aware of, while I'm telling people how to live hermeneutically grounded moral virtue. Because that become a problem. I don't want to stress it, but that's when people mind. That's when people minded. Because if you're living in sin, you think it's a choice. Like, no, fuck you. Go fuck yourself. Oh, I don't want to say that like I'm perfect or anything. I could be talking to myself, and when I was not looking to have any kind of consistency or something, if I wanted to take the convenient aspect, or looking because it's like you try on all these different garments, but you never put on the whole ensemble. but you still recognize that the whole ensemble and all these garments are the same sin. It's just that you just recognize that you're not meant to live in sin. You're just recognizing that. You don't have to be Christian. You don't have to be Christian to say that. But if you think that way, I think that what's happened is that you found an orthodox approach to interpreting good news, which they call gospel good news. It's a go spell too, so it's like, but but it's just simplify, because everybody doesn't have the same premise. It's like, that's real petty to just pick on something. If you just can get to access the wavelength, it's a good vibe. So it's like, I don't know. I think my point got across. I think I was just going to try to hammer it home, and I think I don't have to. It's like if I failed to present the message with all of my recollection and like different points that I wanted to make, the lack of the ability, it's like also like merciful. It's like you could be too direct. And then we wouldn't even know. Like, it's like too direct. It's like I'm asking you a question, but I'm not really asking you a question. I'm telling you something. And then I could even forget, and I don't even remember. When did I ever tell you to do that? So there's these people, okay, they just like to wag their finger, and then at the same time they copy or they study people to get, to figure out once they're ready, then something happens. And then they can all, do their grift or whatever. It's like they're acting like they have all this concern and care and everything. They like telling you, oh, and if you don't feel this way or something, you're this, and you're that. And that's why you got to study them, because they already studied you for natural human response to emotion, like that would comply or fit in with someone who's actually aloof. You can't fake that. It's like aloof means you don't know. Just like you don't know what happens if you ignore somebody, because how you're aware of you're ignoring somebody, you're not really effectively ignoring them. So they still have an emotional ties. It's like, you can't get to me emotionally. Oh, yeah, they can. They still have another way. And then it's like so there's this type of sin that I can't really speak to directly. And there's something about maybe the your polarity opposite, your gender opposite, that just because they're a woman can be more effective when they make the argument on your behalf. That's why they got them with all the different hair, like doesn't it belong on their head? You know what I mean? And yet, like, at this time, I would suggest not to nitpick on these things anymore. The time already passed, because it doesn't make sense to put clay in hair. Like, we don't do that. You're not going to put wood and things in hair that people in Saharan Africa or something. So I'm not going to require, you have to have African hairstyles, because you still do. There still are some, and then there's some that we think are specific to African. It's not, So it's like they're going to keep exploiting people that choose to specifically overlook things because it's not nice, or we didn't want to join this pact with this alliance or something like that. New information needs to keep coming out, and you have to be, balanced perspective. And instead, you're thinking it's a choice, and then you're gonna come up with some, what's it called, like in line with denial, where it's like, I just want to be silly and act like there's no harm. But then at the same time, I'm labeling people as being problematic. I'm telling people that they're causing harm. I'm just doing all this, I'm writing off people that are actually on some real revolutionary shit. And then I'm calling people January 6th, and it's like locking people like that, locking them up. Lockdownerism, basically. Lock it down. Everything lock it down. And then take enjoyment because they fill the skate park full of sand. Just because they know it takes longer to move it out than it does to put it in there. They didn't want to fly the fucking Blackhawks and the fucking whatever Apaches and they'll leave all the shit over there because they said it was going to cost too much in gas money to fly it back over. So just leave it there with the technologies. Hey, come over, invade, come over, we'll harvest your vote, and then we'll realize that you're choking us out. We can't have it anymore. So then how are you gonna blame, like you're gonna it's like they have to be selective about what their issue is because they're gonna end up self-owning. But if you speak to this, you're ugly though. You're ugly. Like okay. It seems like I'm picking on my sister because back in the day she said something about the border topic is just ugly. But she's not saying you're ugly because some people live their whole life in a courtroom. That's their job. I don't want to wake up and go to a court every morning with a suitcase full of stupid papers. I don't even care what's in those papers. Fuck those papers. I don't want to look through that shit ever. I'll procrastinate. But they can do it. They're not ugly. I'm not mad at, like, all lawyers are fucking ACAB or bastard or something. Like, why do you need a generalized blanket statement so that you can get led around by impulsivity? You're gonna get lined up to crash out or fucking to get the taken down in slow motion. And everybody's gonna get a chance to see how somebody can get taken down slow, like super slow, and like you should be able to defend yourself, but all of your movements are restricted and relegated to matching aggression with the very weakest amount of resistance, and you just like can never come up with enough to overwhelm your opponent. So just like the GOP snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, arguing arbitrarily with somebody that already has an inclination or is in taking delight that you're missing the point at which they actually are taking delight. He's just like, we're fucking with you, guy. We're just fucking with you over something that probably shouldn't be fuck with because they think it's okay that everybody has an opinion. I can have my opinion and you can have your opinion. Go fuck yourself. Shit, you want to save a lobster because you think the lobster is sentient and can have more different commands and codes, or it can transmit more frequencies and higher levels of intelligence than a baby in the side of your that's smaller, like a size of your thumbs or something like this. Like, I don't give a fuck. If the lobster was fucking 10 times more intelligent than the fucking human, you're still a human. So as long as I take the side of the human race, I don't care to win the debate. Is that cool? And then we're like, well, I just think you're just consistent. Go fuck yourself. Are you kidding? It's only because it was a debate forum. I'm sorry, motherfucker, don't need clarification from me, then gonna lecture you and say again, like, let me clarify again, like you already told me. Fuck off. Shit. I think you have to entertain some shit that's not even real yet. Then later on, you're gonna be like, oh, is that a chimera walking down the street or something? Like, remember they released all the crazy people when they ran out of funding, and they closed the institution, the insane asylum, and kick all these people out, and they're gonna kick out a few subterraneans and a few fucking like a half human, half like sloth or something. like human, like rats with human like faces, shit like that running around. The homunculus with chimeras, because Beauty and the Beast. There's even Beauty and the Beast. I don't say anything about is that one bitch that only like fucking I can't remember her name.